Hey guys, welcome to Bar Z. My name's Stan, and welcome to part two of putting an overhead diamond dresser on the surface grinder. Now, in part one, we just basically acquired it, did a rough test fit, make sure it was going to fit, and worked out a plan for all the accessories and everything. But this part's going to be actually installing it, tramming it in, making a test cut, and getting all the peripheral components working, the dust collector, the block for the coolant, and make sure the dresser's operating as intended. So, and making some of the parts, one of the jacking screws, we wanted to put a brass tip on it. I'll probably just kind of insert that up here while I'm talking. But let's get into it. Let's go see how we trammed it. First of all, we've made all these parts and got it all ready to go on for a final time. Let's go take a look at how we figured out how to tram this thing in. Well, I actually found a pretty simple way to do this. I've got a noga down on the mag plate, so as I move the table in and out, that's going to follow the lower axis of the table. And then I've instead of a diamond in here, I've inverted a carbide end mill. Now, I found that the ends of carbide end mills and the ends of any end mills aren't finished, and they're certainly not finished squarely, because if I pass my table across, you can see what my gauge is going to do. So I'm going to have to fish around and find the high spot. This one's kind of concave. It's got a hollow in the middle. Then you see it pops back up to 0 there. So I start at 0. About a thou of a dish in the end of that end mill, and then back up. So I'm going to fish around and find my highest point. So I've got it set pretty good. I'm right at 0. Just before it starts to fall off. So I'm going to go back to my highest high and re-zero there. I'm going to just move my spindle up and down. Let's get all the stiction out of that. Gauge and everything. All right, I'm pretty happy that that's 0. Let's make sure it repeats. So, yep, we're right there at 0. And now all I'm going to do is take the rack and pinion and scope it all the way out. And then I'm going to bring my table out to match that. I'm going to get back out on the same spot where I was before. And, I'm within a 1/10 there. And I can check this in multiple places across, which I already have. It traverses very squarely and in a very straight line. I've checked it at the start, which we'll call 0. Went to a quarter, I went to half, I went to 3/4, and this right here is a full sweep. So I think this is a good preliminary way to make sure the diamond is running parallel with the table and my wheel's going to dress correctly. So I think we're off to a good start here. I did have to add I took a piece of shim stock and I had to add it. I had some just small feeler blades, and I actually had to add right in here where it clamps to the spindle. I added 3/1000 at this end to give me the tilt. I was already tilted too far, and I had to add 3/1000. So I just laid a 3/1000 shim in there, and that gave me my adjustment back here on my rear bolt. I'll actually take you just a little bit and let's show you that rear bolt and how it went in there. And you can see my copper tip there and a locking screw and my adjustment bolt. But I'm really looking forward to trying this thing out. This is pretty much the last time this thing's going to go on. The shim's in, the jacking bolt's in, everything's clean, everything's tight, and I'm going to just finish everything up. And then I have one last check. I'll tram it one last time, and then we'll try some parts. Okay, well, I got you zoomed in on the wheel. And what we're going to do an experiment. We got everything all put back together. We got everything trammed, and I've already ground this block and got it flat. So we'll be making contact all the way across. We're going to go front to back, and then we're going to dress and do a compensating down feed on the spindle and come back. And if we're going from back to front, you should see the leading edge with a spark trail around it and not the trailing edge. And then we're going to do the same thing from front to back. So we're going to do it two different directions with a dress each time. Both ways we should get the same results. Whatever direction we're traveling, that's where you're going to see the leading edge of the spark. So let's try it out. I think you got a good camera spot. We've got the lights turned off, so we're not blinding the camera too much. You should have a pretty good view of that spark trail. So right here we're nothing. I'm going to give this exactly 2/10 of down feed. You see we're just touching off there. Now, even though we don't need to dress, we're still going to dress. We're going to do a 1 thou down feed on our diamond. We're going to dress. I'm going to do a 1 thou down feed on my spindle plus 1/10. So when I come back across this part, that's essentially just doing a 1/10 of down feed. Now we should see sparks on our leading edge, but not on our trailing edge. Okay, pretty good, and a decent finish. Now we're going to go ahead and take another thou out of the wheel. And then we're going to go again 1/4,000 plus a 10. We're going to come back this way and make sure we see sparks on the leading edge again. Make sure we're hitting right away. Which we are. I think we got it pretty darn close. There were some comments over on YouTube or on actually on Facebook that said, "Hey, you're probably not going to be real happy with the finish." I'm going to show it to you here. There's the finish. It's really not terrible. Okay, well, we got enough accessories on hanging off the spindle now to choke a goat. I had to relocate my light back here because it got in the way of the handle here. It was going to hit, so I had to relocate my light. We've got just enough room in the back here for this thing to go completely up and down. It misses this by about 1/4 inch. Got our coolant block on, so we're able to spray coolant or hang an indicator off that steel block. So I've got a place to mag down there. We've got our dust collector back in place. And what I did there, I'm probably going to redo this. I just bolted a magnet right here. So what was happening is when I swing the door open, the dust collector was getting in the way, but this, you know, when I stick that on, she pretty much stays stuck. You know, and I can adjust the elevation. But what I am going to do is make a different flat bar, weld it onto here, just tack it on, and have a different flat bar there to stick on, so I don't have all this mess that's really not needed. But I will make a new flat bar for that, but it works for now. My rubber flap's back in place, working just fine. And we just got done with a test grind on a block. And there's our finish there on the tester. Not terrible. Okay guys, well that's the end of two-part series of putting on an overhead wheel dresser on a Boyer The results were good. Time will tell whether I like it and whether it's, we got it trammed in pretty good. I found a good way to indicate it in, and I didn't have to mess with it after I started grinding. I was happy with the way it ground in both directions. I've got my old wheel guard here with my old homemade front that I made long ago. Still has the Kilroy sticker on it from the bash. I wore his shirt in memory of that. So James, I think I need a new sticker for my new wheel guard. So that's what it takes to change one out. And I've gotten a lot of warnings from people saying you're not going to like it. It's not going to leave the finishes that you like. But so far so good. But time will tell, and I'll keep you guys updated. I'll update you on an episode of The Grind on whether I still like the thing. All right, appreciate everybody tuning in and watching. We'll see you on the next one.